Hey, I'm James.
And I'm John.
And we are RÜFÜS DU SOL, and you're watching the AU Review.
So in the past, 2 platinum ARIA #1 albums, Best Dance Release winner in 2015, 115 million streams in Australia alone, and nearly 250 million worldwide. How did Solace come around? How do you back that up?
Yeah, well, we definitely weren't reading those stats before we started writing this record. But it is nice to hear really good stats. But yeah, it's funny, like now we've just come back to Australia and people are starting to first heard the record, or we're starting to hear this "How is the pressure" vibe. But yeah, it didn't really feel like that when we were starting to embark on that journey of writing the record. We were just like so excited to start writing. We'd been touring around America, or around everywhere for like a couple of years. And we had this, crazy excitement in our bones to just jump in the studio. And we had a bunch of notes written in our phones, like voice recordings of melodies and that sort of thing, and all these production ideas. So we just went full guns blazing into the studio with reckless abandon, with no stats in mind.
So there's clips from this album is pretty much years in the making then, using all these clips and...
Yeah, I guess on the road for those 2 years, and you build up a kind of eagerness again to get back into the studio because it is such a different beast. So yeah, I think we all had, our hunger to write again had really grown. We had, as John was saying, lots of little like creative ideas. We were listening to a lot of music on the road and sharing lots of music with each other. And stuff that we wanted to reference, kind of things that we wanted to try and achieve this time around, creatively, aesthetically. And so, and then we went straight in, off the back of touring, straight into, so we moved to Los Angeles. We found, John found an Airbnb that had this studio, like a disused studio in the backyard, like a separate little building. And it was perfectly acoustically treated. So we decked it out with a bunch of analog synths that we'd been wanting to get our hands on. And just made this little playground for ourselves that we got lost in pretty quickly.
So is it solely recorded in LA?
Yes.
Nice. And so like a lot of the themes on the album seem to be, there's the lyric "Take me to another place" in the title track Solace, in Underwater, stuck underwater, I just need some space. And the name of the album is Solace. Was this like one writer's unique experience of like feeling pressure or anxiety, or was this...
No, I think the experience for all three of us with writing this record was in similar veins, and that sort of informed like a bunch of the lyrical content. There's no doubt that we're all like going through different things through writing the record. We all like had our moments. We've been touring for a long time now, and I think what we've found is that our little safe zone is in music, and that's how the name Solace came about. Is that whenever we're feeling vulnerable, feeling scared, or whatever the emotion is, like feeling happy, even like the best thing to do is to just jump back in the studio, and the easiest thing to do is to jump back in the studio and find solace in the music. So yeah, I guess like the rest of the emotions that you're not dealing with then bleed onto the album. So like for me personally, I felt like, I felt sad for leaving my family behind in Australia and not connecting with them enough, or neglecting my girlfriend who was there with us at the time. But you're just not really putting in the time with all these different parts of your life. And I guess that sort of sentiment bleeds onto the album for sure.